1. This is kind of a rant, but along with my hotel job, I have this internship at a cat lounge. The cat lounge is kind of like a cat cafe, but without the cafe, and is run by a non-profit organization that works with cats. Either way, I love this job, and would do full-time here over the hotel if they let me, but back to the story. I usually work in the back, usually for cat care, but one of the owners has to bring cats to the vet, so I've been running the front desk for a few sessions while I've interned here. The most recent session was hell. For context, for the hours of 10 to 1, it's the youth block, which means kids 3 and up are allowed at sessions, from 2 until they close. Only kids 3 and up are allowed at sessions. From 2 until close, only kids 13 and up can be in a session. This session had 5 kids and 3 parents. The owner was a bit skeptical because the kids were being loud, but gave me the go-ahead to give them the rules and show them in. The rules are pretty basic, just wash hands, remove shoes, no chasing or picking up the cats, indoor voices, and just be respectful in general. The kids did not listen. They were screaming, running, chasing the brand new kittens, scruffing some of the kittens, and in general being unruly. I gave them multiple reminders to quiet down, and even asked the parents to please control them, but they just kept gossiping. The cats were noticeably scared and disrupted by all this, so I got a bit heated. Especially since I have a soft spot for cats, and will get very defensive of them due to some past stuff. It got to the point where I was considering texting the owner I would DNR them, but I calmed down a bit before going to text her. But then a kid screams, "Oh my god, the cats are peeing!" And it's one of the cats who was never skittish who was peeing. The parents didn't scold their kids for yelling or anything that they did, and were trying to cover it up before I went in. That was my last straw. I kinda went full-on passive-aggressive manager mode, which I never do. I went in and told them, "I'm sorry, but your session has come to an end. Please gather your things and head out." "But there's still 20 minutes. Please gather your things and head out," I said in the kindest voice I could. But inside I was angry at the lack of parenting and awareness these mothers had. They all left, the kids a little sad since they had to leave, but I did not care. After that, I contacted the owner about what happened, and she told me to end the session. I told her I already did 5 minutes prior, and that I was going to contact her to ask, but I felt like I had to ASAP for the cat's safety and well-being. She said that it was okay and the right call. After that, I made sure to clean the pee as best I could and checked up on the cat. He snuggled against me, so at least he's okay. I am now advocating for these parents to be banned and DNR'd for their lack of concern and disregard for the rules set in place for both them and their kids, and just generally distressing a lot of the cats. I don't know why some parents will just let their kids run haywire, especially in a place like this, or a hotel. There's a couple of more sessions that have kids today, so hopefully they don't go as bad as this one. The session that's happening as I'm typing this through is a lot more respectful and calm, both parent and kid-wise. Long rant, but yeah. Parents, please do your job, and don't leave it to workers to manage your kids. 2. I recently had a baby, September of this year. My baby is nearly 3 months old, and throughout my pregnancy, my mother-in-law barely checked in on me, but constantly asked about the baby and for pictures of the ultrasound and the heartbeat, etc. She even threw a baby shower that was essentially about her, and I and my husband were ignored almost the entire time. I also had to sit in 100-degree weather at 6 months pregnant for the baby shower, right in the sun because all of the people, I didn't know most of the people there, took the shaded seats. Needless to say, my mother-in-law doesn't think much about others, and she continuously touched my belly while I was pregnant, despite me telling her not to. She said she wanted to feel her grandbaby and wanted him to kick her. I told her over 4 times not to. Then, when I was almost due, I thought telling her it hurts when she touches would make her stop, but it didn't. She rubbed my belly aggressively when I was 2 weeks away from my due date. She said she wanted to touch because it would be the last time she feels her grandbaby until he's born. I was beyond angry, and I personally hate physical contact with anyone but my husband and immediate family. Even during my postpartum period, They would come over while I was trying to breastfeed my son. Mother-in-law told me to pump so she could feed him, and me being absolutely exhausted on 2 hours of sleep complied. Fast forward to now, my son is nearly 3 months old, and I have repeatedly asked my in-laws to not kiss my baby. Mother-in-law has even encouraged my father-in-law to kiss my son, and constantly tries kissing him. I told her no kissing, not it's okay to kiss him on the head only, which is somehow what she heard, because she's been kissing him on the head until recently. My husband finally spoke up, told his parents to stop. He told them firmly to not kiss our baby. They once again kissed him and even let his uncle's wife kiss my son. I don't even know the woman, I was so angry. I took him and went to wipe his face off and held him for the rest of the night. This was on Thanksgiving. Finally, my mother-in-law insists that it's okay to kiss them as long as they aren't sick, not understanding that you can easily be a carrier of sickness but be asymptomatic. Finally, I told her alongside my husband, desperately explaining that my son got sick 1 month ago and that he was wheezing and coughing so badly I had to take him to urgent care. All for my husband kissing the back of his head while sick, and not knowing he was until days later. Mother-in-law immediately said, "Well, that's husband's fault," proving our point about no kissing, even on the back of the head. Then she begins to insult the fact that I hold my son too much and that he is getting too used to my arms and being carried. She then sits on the couch and begins to talk to husband's uncle's wife about my son being spoiled and too used to my arms. Translation from the Spanish word embrasilado. She uses this term as an insult because apparently comforting your baby when they need it spoils them. I told them that's fine and that my son's very little and that there's no such thing as spoiling an infant. She continuously suggests the cry-it-out method, which I personally don't partake in. Then, when I was waiting with my son in the car, my husband went back in to use the bathroom, and my mother-in-law tells my husband that I'm spoiling the baby and getting him too used to being held. I hold him for 1 nap a day at least, just to make sure he isn't overtired, because he has bad reflux. But he otherwise naps fine in his bassinet. And she begins to say that I need to let him cry and sleep on his own, and that he will nap when he needs to. My husband and I decided that if she continues to break our boundaries and rules, that we will leave immediately and not visit for a few days or weeks. I really like this idea, but my concern now is that my husband is talking about visiting them more often now, since I go to visit my own parents with my son about 2 or 3 times a week. I told him that once a week with his parents is fine, but I don't really want to visit more often. My husband seems to either forget or become pressured into spending more time with them. It doesn't help that they live just down the street, and that we have the first grandchild on his side. If this continues to go on, and my husband continues to forget about the mean and rude things that mother-in-law has done, I'm going to step in and just be very rude and firm about everything. I can't hold it in much longer, but I'm doing it out of respect. I'm not even sure why I care about respecting her at this point. Anyway, rant over. I just hope I'm finally getting somewhere with the boundaries. 3. My Just No Mill was complaining about how she didn't want to cook everything for Thanksgiving, so everyone just offered to make something and I made pozole since I had been craving it since I found out I was pregnant last December, but never really went out to find some because I just forgot. My mother-in-law had invited my mom and brothers over since it was baby's first Thanksgiving, and she had said she wanted baby to have as much family around for the holidays as possible. I'm lucky my mom was pretty chill after I told her to fix the things she messed up under my name, or I was going no contact, so no more baby. So we have an okay relationship at this moment. My Just No Mill asked my mom if she wanted a drink every few minutes, despite me giving her one before going to the nursery to feed and try to put the baby to bed. Baby was extra fussy, so I was gone a lot trying to soothe her and get her to sleep, which was awful because she fights sleep daily, but even more when something is going on, so she was screaming, wanting to be around everyone, but also because she was tired and refused to even lay down. So when fiancé and I were upstairs trying to figure out how to get her to sleep, and my brothers were outside playing cornhole, my mother-in-law was talking crap about me to my mom. She asked if my mom had held the baby, and I had already warned my mom she couldn't because mother-in-law was sick and she was already angry we wouldn't hand the baby over to her, even though she was sick and baby is only 3 months. So my mom said no, and mother-in-law seemed happy about that, but then began complaining about how fiancé and I don't let her kiss the baby at all, and how her feelings are hurt over it, especially because we don't let her hold the baby often either, which we only don't because she smokes, and we've told her to shower and come ask, and we'll gladly let her hold the baby, if she's healthy, and she just never does, and then complains about how we keep the baby away from her. My mom and lovely sister-in-law both argued that things were different after COVID, and the baby's health came first, so it was reasonable that we keep the baby away for her health and safety, and that fiancé and I are the parents, so the rules we set should be followed. Mother-in-law got angry and started saying that COVID isn't around anymore, so she should be able to kiss the baby, but I was a terrible mom because I'm lazy and don't do anything but hold the baby all day, while she let her babies cry all day if it meant she could cook and clean so she had more experience, and we should listen to her more often. My mom just kinda shrugged and then went upstairs when fiancé came downstairs to tell me this. I'm not surprised, but it's so funny she thinks I'm the bad mom when all of her kids don't even like her, and fiancé is increasingly getting sick of his mom's nonsense. So he says he wants to ask his dad for help getting a house in the next year or so we no longer have to put up with his mom being antagonistic. I'm glad fiancé is finally as sick of his mom as I am, because I'm always just ignoring her and doing my best to take care of baby and fiancé, which she wants me to take care of the whole house, brother-in-law and her, which, hell no, they're grown adults, I'll take care of mine and that's it. But boy is it stressful here. Mother-in-law has also complained that I am always locked up in my room, but I usually just have my tits out so it's easier to feed my booby monster, and bras and anything other than thin camisoles bother me a bit now, so mostly just have my tits out. And I definitely don't want to do that in front of her and my brother-in-law. Plus, I've always been locked up in the room before the baby. I don't know why she's expecting me to be a perfect housewife, just wearing the baby and showing her off every day while cooking and cleaning and having everything perfect. Like, no thanks. 4. Darling husband and I went over to my mother-in-law's house for Thanksgiving. I'm a total grey rock when I'm around them now. Not just the mother-in-law, but the aunts and cousins too. They have all talked crap about me to my face, behind my back, and accidentally excluded me from events. Except for the events where they want me to be there to perform manual labor. I'm a hard worker, or want my money. They always remember to invite me to anything involving those two things: painting houses, digging gardens, wedding showers, but not the wedding. Baby showers, you get it. Anyways, I don't go to any of that crap anymore, which ticks them off. And when I'm at events, I don't engage. I just sit quietly on my phone and only speak when spoken to, and I put in no effort to maintain the conversation. Mother-in-law has started bringing games to family events. Not that I think that's a bad idea, I personally love games. But she brings games because darling husband's family won't interact with each other when together. They'll just sit on their phones the whole time, so mother-in-law has been trying to get everyone to engage with each other, like what normal people would do at a family event. Anyways, this year mother-in-law brought Pin the Tail on the turkey, and she asked me to participate. As per usual, I said no thank you. Towards the end of the night, she came up to me and said in her faux sad tone, "You know, I wish you would participate in family activities." Woman, be real. This is what you wanted. You excluded me, made things up about me, because there weren't any negative truths you could tell people, and alienated me from your entire family. You were successful in your petty and hateful vendetta. You should be happy and celebrating. Except I know the reason she's not happy, and the aunts and cousins too, for that matter, and it's why I marked this post as a success. They've all started to put together that they're no longer excluding me. I'm the one excluding them. I no longer go to anything, even if I'm available, which I tell them. I have turned them down to their faces. I blocked them on social media. I have blocked them from my phone. I have mother-in-law muted, so even if she texts, I don't see it, sometimes not even for days later. Every interaction is short and in my control. I give them nothing, and make no attempt to continue conversations if started with me. I ask them nothing about themselves. To put it simply, I just don't care anymore and don't even pretend to. And they hate it. I've never been invited to so many non-manual labor events, spoken to more at the rare family function I go to. I know they're trying to suck me back in to try to be the ones in control again, but joke's on them. I love being a grey rock. I haven't been so content and happy in their presence in years. I know COVID sucked for a lot of people for a lot of reasons, but it was such a blessing for me to be able to have reasons to stay away from them, to help me break free from their grasp. I used to think I was grey-rocking them, but now I realize that I wasn't. I was still trying back then, and I truly don't now. So thank you, mother-in-law. I am perfectly content with the status quo and have no desire to change. You can take your faux sadness and shove it up your butt. I'll just sit quietly in the corner and watch. 5. I was driving home from the grocery store yesterday with my girlfriend and our roommate. We're not exactly mature, upstanding adults. We're all college students. I'm 22 and they're both 21. But we're all varying degrees of financially independent. We have jobs, we pay our own rent, I pay the loan on the car that's now destroyed, etc. I'm driving through a large but not super busy intersection, and a car speeds out in front of me to take a left, while I'm already inside the intersection. I slam the brakes on but can't stop in time. The front of my car collides with the side of theirs. Knees slam into the front console, airbags go off, smoke everywhere. None of us have ever been in a crash this big before. We're immediately panicking, getting out of the car, making sure each other are okay. No major injuries, but we're all pretty bruised up. Girlfriend and roommate start working on getting our groceries out of the car and finding someone to come pick us up, while I talk to the other driver and exchange information. The other driver is a 19-year-old girl, and she's sitting on the curb with a friend, while her third friend gives me her license and takes photos of my license and insurance info. She tells me the driver's mom is coming to get the documents out of the car, which is not in nearly as bad a condition as mine, and they could easily get themselves. And she'll give me those when she gets there. I call 911 and spend most of the next 2 hours on the phone with my insurance company, trying to get a tow truck. The city ends up towing both cars away since I can't move mine out of the road. When I try to turn it on so I can move it into a parking lot and out of the way, it doesn't move when I press the gas and the engine starts smoking. The other girl doesn't try to move her car, which looks to me like it's still in driving condition, albeit not great condition. The cops show up to get our statements. I tell them exactly what happened, don't make any grand statements about who was at fault because the situation speaks for itself. I do think that I said I had the right of way, because I did. She goes to get the other girl's statement. First thing she says is, "I had the right of way." The cop clarifies, "So you had the green turn arrow?" And she says, "Yes." I jump in to correct her and say something to the effect of, "The light was green. I don't know what she saw, but if she had the turn arrow, the light on my side would have been red. So I don't understand how she could have had the green arrow." The cop nods and writes that down. Whatever. Continues to ask clarifying questions about whether she had the green arrow, and asks if she was the only car turning, which she was. She says there were lots of cars turning in front of me. I didn't correct this one because I was just so shocked. I only fully processed that she said this after it was such an obvious and blatant lie. Well, whatever. At some point while we're being questioned, her mom shows up. She listens to her daughter's story, where she's claiming that she had the right of way and I blew through a red light and drove straight into her, and believes it unquestioningly. The cop also asks if we want paramedics called. Me and my friends report all our injuries to her, but tell her it's not an immediate emergency. The driver's friend insists that her friends are in shock and need medical attention, although the friends deny it. Paramedics and firefighters are called. Both, when they show up, ask me and my friends if we were in the other girl's car, probably since we're acting relatively normal and unhurt, and the other three are acting like this was a major catastrophe. My engine is shot and my airbags have gone off. Their car is in nowhere near as bad of a condition. Paramedics seem annoyed to have come to check on these girls who turned out to be completely fine. But maybe that was just me extrapolating. We tell the paramedics all about our injuries. They tell us to go get those checked out and leave without looking at us at all. The mother is being pretty bitchy, for lack of a better word. But I don't realize this until later because the accident is so clear-cut, and it's so obvious that her daughter is at fault that I don't realize she's trying to shift all the blame onto me, repeatedly saying, "when he hit her." And at one point she says, "Well, there are cameras, so we'll see what really happened." It didn't even occur to me until after that she was insinuating that I was a liar, because I just thought, yeah, the cameras will show that her daughter caused the accident. Obviously. The cop tells us that they're live feed cameras, so they may not have actually picked up a recording, but I'm still feeling pretty confident about the details of the situation. At this point, the tow truck is showing up and the situation is winding down, and my girlfriend reminds me that before we leave with the friend who's coming to bring us home, I still need to get this girl's registration and insurance info. So I go up to the girl and her mother and ask to get that information. This other guy who showed up, I think he was an older brother of one of the girls, reminds me that I gave them my insurance but not my registration. So, of course, I'm like, oh yeah, let me get that for you. They take a photo of my registration. They now have all the information I could possibly give them. I ask the mother for her info. She asks me if I want to take a photo of her license plate. I'm like, yeah, I guess that's a good idea, and I do. Then I ask again to see her registration and insurance card. She refuses. She says they'll be in the police report. I say I know they'll be in the report, but I'd like to get them now so I can file an insurance claim. And I don't say this because she's clearly already not my biggest fan, but I just give her my information. I would expect if she wants all my documents, she would be willing to give hers in return, but she says no again, gets in her car, and closes the door on me. Fine, whatever. I ask the cop for her insurance info just in case, and she tells me she's not legally allowed to give me that, and I'll have to wait for the report. Well, whatever. We went home. I filed an insurance report today. The car is totaled, to no one's surprise. I've been in car accidents before, and I've even been in an accident where I had to file through insurance. And I understand that you're not supposed to admit fault even if you caused it. But this is the first accident I've ever been in where the other party straight up lied about what happened. I'd only had the car for a year and a half, and I still have $6,000 left to pay off on it. Just the more I think about it retrospectively, the more it angers me. All three of us who were in my car got injured. None of the girls in the other car did. My car is totaled. Theirs isn't. I was going straight. She was making a left. And her mother has the audacity to blame me for it and call me a liar when she wasn't even there to see what happened. Her daughter messed up my car and my body and my finances, and she wants her to get off with no consequences. I just can't imagine my parents ever sticking up for me like that in a situation where I was so clearly at fault. I don't want to have to take them to court, but it seems like it's going to come to that. The way I had to stand there and handle everything on my own while her mother covered her butt and blamed me for the whole thing was so deeply infuriating. I don't understand why entitled parents feel like they can protect their children from all possible consequences. And I don't understand why you feel the need to villainize me when you're clearly in the wrong. I just needed to bitch about it in proper detail, and Twitter isn't a great place to do that. Genuinely screw this woman and her lying daughter. I'm talking to a lawyer and I'm getting my loan paid off and a nicer, newer car than I started with. I don't think I'm a perfectly moral person, but at least I'm not so entitled that I'll lie to a cop's face and think I'll get away with it. And just to address frequent comments, 1, I'm talking to a lawyer tonight and we'll go from there. Not going to continue posting every detail of this online, but I'll keep this post up to have a record. 2, my girlfriend went to the doctor today, and they told her she has whiplash and prescribed her muscle relaxers. I and our roommate have appointments for tomorrow. I know everyone said to go to urgent care immediately, but we get free appointments through student health at our college, and even if I'll get paid back for it, I prefer not to be spending that money right now, so tomorrow will have to do. 3, I will definitely invest in a dash cam for my next car. I kept meaning to get one for this one, but kept putting it off because I didn't want to spend the money, but I'm definitely not going to wait after this. 4, to everyone saying this is what insurance is for and I won't have to sue her, I understand. I'm hoping that this can get settled through insurance, but based on the way her mom was acting, I kind of feel like they're going to try to take me to court, especially because the evidence is clearly not in their favor, and I doubt they'll be happy with the insurance outcome. Hopefully not, though. I'm just preparing myself for the worst-case scenario. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to The Impractical Proudness of Parents, Ipop, episode 137. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. Before you go, please hit the like button, and what's the other thing I'd like you to do? Oh, share the video. No, don't need to do that. Well, if you want to. Subscribe, there we go, do that. That's good, if you haven't already done so. And please do support me on my Patreon page, which is linked in the description. Okay, let's see. No other business today. I think I've done all the birthday shoutouts for the week. So let's move on to Hellfreezer's question of the day. And today's question is: when was the last time you had someone tell you something you know is not true, they've insisted it is, and you've decided just to let it play out knowing you'll be right? That's a bit of a random question, I'm aware. Most of mine are, I suppose. And the reason for that is today I had a gentleman come from Scottish Gas, aka British Gas, same company, to install a smart meter for the gas, right? Which is something I've actually wanted for a while because it's much more convenient. Mine's a pay-as-you-go system. It's much more convenient for topping up because I can do it at home from my phone. So I've been looking forward to that, and I phoned up because the meter I had wasn't working and needed repairing, and I knew when I phoned up they would offer a replacement, which is what they did. And I explained to the gentleman on the phone, well, look, they tried to do this before and I'm not opposed to it. As I say, I had actually wanted one. But we tried to do it before, and the last time we tried to do it, I was told I needed some additional component installed on the electricity meter, which I just didn't have time to take care of at the time. So they were able to rig the meter to get it working temporarily, reset it or something. And it worked for a few months, and then I started getting problems recently. So I phoned up this time, and again they were offering a replacement. So I explained that to the gentleman, and he said, "Oh no, he assured me it would be okay. He said it's a new model, it's fine, it's okay." So I took him at his word, even though there was that little voice in my head going, "Yeah, they're not going to be able to do that." And I waited. And then today, the very nice man from Scottish Gas came out, and I said the same thing to him. Look, they tried to do this before, but I was told I needed something installed. It's a hub, is what it's called, installed on the older electricity meter I have. And I explained, well, in 3 days, on the 9th, they're going to be replacing that anyway with the smart electric meter, because when this was getting taken care of, I figured, you know what, let's get them both done at the same time. And with two separate companies, so I called the other company up and they were able to arrange it for the 9th, so it's just 3 days apart. So that solved the problem anyway of having to phone them up and get it arranged. So he wasn't able to actually get the thing installed properly. He's installed it and it's sort of working right now. I said basically just use what you need to use and don't worry about it, so I'm assuming I'm not going to be charged for it. And he's booked me in for an appointment later next week, after the electricity meter is swapped over. So, and which is essentially what I figured would happen anyway. But the guy on the phone insisted it would be fine. Let me know what you think in a comment below. And before we go, let's take a look at the answer of the day from a previous video. And today's answer comes from Ipop136. And what is your favourite versatile food? I think mine was potatoes, because nom 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 nom. Although I love all those staples, rice, pasta, you can just do so much with them. Potatoes, yes, because you can rice a potato, but you can't potato rice. And today's answer comes from Liza Lou. And their answer is, I would agree about rice being a great versatile food. It's the base of many cultures' foods, from risotto to fried rice to gumbo on a bed of rice, even rice pudding. And now I'm starving. It's dinner time. Guess I'm making something with rice. You've now got me thinking about rice. I haven't made gumbo for a while. It's been a couple of years. Oh, speaking of kind of like Cajun/Creole cooking, jambalaya. I've only ever made that once, and I actually kind of burned it a little bit, but even then it was delicious. Might be worth making again. It's just so many ingredients that go into it. I'm getting ideas. I am going out shopping tomorrow. Oh, anyway, thank you very much for your answer, Liza Lou, and I'm going to head off for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourselves.